How you know how you got that name?
Oh, we
Good
know.
afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Yankee Stadium.
I dare any show to beat that intro. This intro right now. I dare him.
Pretty badass.
I dare him. It's not going to happen. I'm going to let it play too. It can't be beat. It won't be beat. It's the greatest of all time.
Never.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to episode number 1515 of Empire 161, a show about the New York Yankees, a show about baseball, a show about whatever the hell we want it to be. I am Mr. Tim Tabala. My co-host right over here, I do this now so I make sure I'm always pointing in the right direction, is Ed Camus. Ed, what is going on?
Hey yo.
Yeah.
Not much, man. Little bummed out still from Friday night, but hey, you know, things are gonna happen. So let's jump into it. I'm glad we didn't do the show Saturday. We were talking about it, but I think I was a little too pissed off still.
Too hyped up.
Yep.
One quick thing you see on the bottom, our little ticker there. It now says presented by popculturepros.com. That is our new home. That is our new place to watch everything. We will be sending out links and all kinds of other cool stuff that's going to be part of it. But that is our new link. Find the Facebook page, find the YouTube, find the Instagram, the Twitter, find all of it, and follow us at popculturepros.com. And before we get into the disaster that was the ALDS, it seems like Hall of Famers are dropping like flies recently. Today we got the news. Hall of Fame second baseman from the Big Red Machine, Mr. Joe Morgan, passed away. Definitely a legend, definitely a Hall of Famer. Definitely likes to talk about himself and his team. That's how we know him. But give us a little rundown of what Mr. Joe Morgan did for the game of baseball.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we'll go through some quick numbers, but I mean, the guy was absolute legend, Hall of Famer, one of the greatest second basemen who's ever played the game. Over the course of 22 seasons, Morgan had a career average of 271 with a 392 on base percentage, 819 OPS. He had 2,517 hits. His WAR was actually 100.5, which is pretty crazy. Like I said, Hall of Famer, two-time league MVP, NL MVP, two-time World Series champion, 10-time All-Star, 5-time Gold Glove Award winner, All-Star Game MVP, won a Silver Slugger, and two-time NL Player of the Year. I mean, Morgan was a monster. I mean, Tim started like at our age group. I mean, we kind of knew him from doing NBC broadcast with Bob Costas for the 90s Yankees and Sunday Night Baseball also. Listen, he was great at his job. He did, he did his thing for what obviously a phenomenal player, but from what we knew him as, he was a great commentator, but we always used to goof around about how no matter what the 90s Yankees did, no matter what Jeter ever did, he would never, in Morgan's eyes, he would never compare to Dave Concepcion, his double play partner. It was crazy, man. But all due respect to him, man, like, his thoughts and prayers with his family and everything like that, and all the rest of baseball. But yeah, Morgan was known for being with the Big Red Machine in the mid 70s for most of his career. I know he was with the Giants and the Astros as well. But yeah, he was an absolute legend. It's true. Like, legends seem to be dropping here in 2020, left and right. Tom Seaver, Bob Gibson, Joe Morgan, and then this will lead us into our very own.
But how great was it watching those games, putting bets or whatever on how many times he would mention himself, the Big Red Machine, and Dave Concepcion. Let me tell you something. I didn't know who Dave Concepcion was until Joe Morgan bragged about him almost on every single broadcast. And I used to love that. We used to make jokes about it all the time. As soon as you saw Joe Morgan's face, it was Dave Concepcion in the house. And he was nowhere near the damn place. It was fantastic.
Oh, yeah. I mean, listen, in his eyes, the Big Red Machine would destroy the 98 Yankees teaming up with the 1927 Yankees, and it wouldn't even be close.
The Big Red Machine, man. That's it. He was the biggest cheerleader for them. But he was a great dude. He was a good announcer. And, of course, Hall of Famer. Before we continue, we have a very special guest. It's the boss himself, Steve Faraci. What's going on, brother? How are you?
What's up, guys? How's it going?
Ooh, I like the echo.
What's going on? Yeah, wow.
You know, it sounds it's echoey, but then it doesn't come across on the podcast for some reason. Because I listened to it afterwards, and I'm like, it doesn't sound too bad. I'm in an empty room. There's a treadmill, an unused treadmill over here, and a TV hanging on the wall. But I just recently moved, to be expected. How's life, fellas?
Good. Chilling. Yeah. We had a disappointing ALDS, but we're moving on slowly but surely.
We had a disappointing 2020.
Yeah, you ain't kidding. But you want to give us a quick Joe Morgan? You have any good memories of Joe Morgan?
Yeah. I mean, just like you guys were just talking about, he's the biggest Big Red Machine fan. Sunday Night Baseball is just always such an exciting thing to kind of watch, especially when your team is playing. But no matter what, I tune into. I'm a huge baseball fan, so I tune into Sunday Night Baseball, and just to hear Joe Morgan means it's time. He provided really good, not play by color commentator, and he always had his unique spin on it, and not to mention that just a tremendous player, arguably a lot of people have him in the top 5 of the 70s, and tremendous second baseman. So a lot of people thought he was a little too cocky on air, but a lot of people have said it, and I'm just looking on Twitter. He's kind of cocky, but he backed it up by how he played on the field and just his overall knowledge of baseball. It's just great, and Ed, like you said, it's like dominoes, like legend after legend after legend are just. There's a legend killer out there. There's a Randy Orton running around, just knocking these guys off. And to kind of paraphrase what somebody said today on one of the posts, they said, my childhood heroes are dying off left and right. And, unfortunate, but
that's what sucks about getting old.
Yeah, right.
Well, the reason I wanted you to come on. And I'm going to switch the ticker up down to the bottom here. We'll get a little more information. First broadcast on the new venture, the new site, the new show. Tell everybody about the new site and what can we expect?
Trivia question, 20 years. What was the very first show ever on the Pop Culture Pros podcast network?
Which are you upset about it, though?
Not in the least. What's best for business.
That's it.
Vince McMahon. Always. That's it. It's always about what's best for business. It doesn't matter. We flipped the on switch today. PopCulturePros.com. I thought I was going to fumble on it a couple times, but I'm getting there. You practice it in the mirror. But yeah, so that just started out today. Hey, Mom. Hi, Mom.
You got your mom on a Yankee show. Just want you to know that. She's gonna sign off. She's gonna sign off real quick.
2020. Expect the unexpected. Anything could happen this year. But no. So very, very exciting. Very excited about launching this today. It's been in the works for a little bit now. So popculturepros.com is the website, and you can head out to the website. It's live now. Top right hand corner. What's up, Mike? Top right hand corner of the site. You can follow, like the fan page. We'll get invites out for the group. The group is growing pretty steadily early on here. You'll also get the Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, your sister's ass, all that good stuff is on there. Little Vic DiPotato as we close that part out. But yeah, we're going to be covering, for those of you who knew us from Cinesportstalk.com, we're going to be covering some of the same things, but we're going to put a unique spin on some of these things. We're also going to cover music, all things pop culture, some of the things that I don't even like to talk about, but we will talk about, who's dating this person, who's dating that person. But, we'll get Gia or Nardo to take care of that kind of stuff. We're going to have contests. Actually, the first contest is going to go up tonight. It's for a screening giveaway here in Florida. Who knows how long the movie theater is going to be open, but it's going to be down in Miami and Tampa, I believe. And I don't remember that. It's for the movie Two Hearts. So that's going to go up today. We're also going to do raffles, and just to dive a little bit into the raffle stuff. So we'll talk to everybody in the group. What do you guys like? Do we want to put a Yankee jersey up there? Whoever, Aaron Boone. Put an Aaron Boone jersey up there, and and we'll raffle it off. It might cost $5 to enter, but you'll get a $120 jersey in return. And we'll do that with little things here and there, Funko Pop and movies, games, all that kind of stuff. And the site's going to evolve as we go, obviously. So we'll be moving along, changing things up, and we'll try everything. That's always been my motto. And I'm also going to lift the whole restrictions on the F-bomb stuff. And I know you guys want to use some today. So
I saved
release
mine
the
up for
hounds.
last episode.
There you go.
It's funny because Ed, we and him were texting about the show, and he's like, if we did this show Saturday, I'd use up all the F-bombs in the first 5 minutes. Then Steve, you texted me right after that saying, hey, if you want to drop all these F-bombs, you can. Just make sure you say it's explicit and give the warning before the show. I was like, oh, my God. We might just drop a lot of F-bombs today on the show just because we can now. But we'll still keep it friendly. We'll still keep it friendly.
It's got to come out naturally. You can't force it.
You can't.
Yeah, don't. Yeah, it's exactly. Yeah, and that the restriction. There it is. And the restriction came from it really came from Nardo, because back in the day it was just F-bomb, this, that, D word, F-bomb, B, C, all this stuff. Look, I'm censoring myself because my mom's watching.
As long as your mom's watching, I don't feel uncomfortable dropping F-bombs. So. Yeah, so it's a new venture. I appreciate dropping S-bomb here. I appreciate the shit out of you guys, for coming aboard. Originally I set out to do this on my own. I didn't know who would come and join me, but I appreciate you guys coming along for the ride. I appreciate some of the other guys. Won't spoil anything, but I'm going to jump on all the shows that are going to take place this week and just do a little spiel like this. And, it really is something I'm very grateful for. This is, on Cinesports Talk. I did that for over 9 years. We were doing that. And so I learned a lot of lessons, learned a lot of good, escape the bad. But the whole premise of it came up, as I was drinking whiskey and whatnot at right before I got married, and then it came to fruition, and as the wedding reception, as more people, we had it at Bahama Breeze. It's right on the lake, right here across the street at Sawgrass Mall, and as people showed up, hey Steve, come inside, let me buy you a couple shots. All right. Sure. And then, it just clicked. And not too long after that, I started building the site, and we launched it, and a lot of success. And we're going to bring along, we have all the buy-in from all the studios. The Miami Dolphins are in on it also. So that'll help us build up the reputation in the area, covering community events down here. Dolphins are not that great of a football team right now. But I will say the one thing that they do is they are tremendous in the community. They are always, food banks and homeless shelters and holiday stuff. They are fantastic when it comes to that kind of stuff. So it's always a joy to cover it. They also do cheerleading competition every year. We cover that as well.
And we can't be there for that. Son of a bitch. that Dolphin team, not that good, just put up like 50 points against the 49ers team that the Giants couldn't beat.
Right.
But we'll talk about that Wednesday. That's a whole nother show.
So depressing. Yeah. So that's it. Not a word from Steve. Mike says. Yeah, and it's all about content. So we're gonna drive as much content as possible. Obviously, we have the shows. We have this show. We have the Just Too Sweet show, the Kyle and Jader show, the Giants show, the Mets show, and then we're gonna kind of elaborate on some of the top tens that we do. So when we do a top 10, depending on what the topic is, we'll grab 3 or 4 or 5 people that contributed to the top 10, and then jump on the show and talk about why we chose each ranking of the top 10, and then fun things like throwback kind of stuff. So maybe, and I mentioned in the chat earlier, maybe one week we do top 10 songs of 1991 or 1983 or whatever we shout out, and those kind of things will become interesting because we have a pretty long range of ages on the site. Kyle's the baby, I think. And I
I'm the oldest. Am I the old man?
I think Rodriguez.
Okay,
Rodriguez got to be the oldest, right?
I'm close, but it's okay. But mentally, I'm 15, so that's
exactly. That's all that counts.
That should count for something.
That's all that matters. Yeah. So again, I appreciate you guys joining. Looking forward to it. I'm very excited about this.
Absolutely, boss. Anytime, man. I love it. I can't wait.
We are too.
T-shirts are coming.
T-shirts are coming, logos are coming, all this good stuff is happening. As Mike calls you, Tim the old man.
That's right. Hey, what am I gonna deny it? Mentally.
Hey, but when you have guys like Tim start, the older guys warn the up and coming guys that are about to start becoming old about some of the nuances of becoming old. So I learn some tips and tricks from Tim and Keith. Got to shake a few more times as you get older.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you for acknowledging my TikToks, Mike. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
The TikToks are great. We also have, maybe we make an entire section for TikToks, because the TikTok, the one that you did today was fantastic. Loved it, because I love that movie and I love that speech. But I won't spoil that. But we can pop that up there, and get the group going in some duets. We did a duet a few weeks ago. So yeah, some all fun, all excited about this moving forward.
I said I should have invented TikTok. That's my kind of thing. If I had that know-it-all, I would have invented it 10 years ago. But I don't have that know-how.
We should have done. How many times did we talk about, what was the other, Dub Smash?
Yeah,
we could have done it. We suck, but we're doing this. This is what we're doing.
We're doing this.
We're doing it. We're doing it live, and
That's
we're doing
right, exactly. All right, boss. Any more words before you go? You wanted to throw out?
No, that's it. Just head over to the website, popculturepros.com. Yeah, all the profile names and stuff are down there. But if you just go to the popculturepros.com, you can, up in the top right hand corner, all the social media stuff, and then we're gonna be inviting as many people as I want to go and like the fan page, follow us on Twitter. The real meat and potatoes of what we've done over the years has happened in that Facebook group. And that's where we really want to grow. Instagram is nice, and the studios and the sports teams and whatnot, they want you to drive those numbers up. But if we can get that core in there in the group, we can drive up the rest of the numbers, and people just follow us along. Like Mike can invite all of his buddies, all of his friends, all of his pals, all of his amigos. I'm overusing that.
Go with it. I like it. Never enough Chris Farley. Never
enough Chris Farley. So you guys watching, just invite all your friends to the group. Invite them to like the fan page, Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff, and YouTube. And once we get back in the swing of things, thanks, buddy. Thanks, Mike. Once we get back in the swing of things and more screenings become available, just as I did before, we'll make a special announcement on YouTube as to when the contests are going to drop. So it's imperative that if you want to go to some of these things, either virtually or physically in the movie theaters, socially distanced, of course, that you'll head over to the YouTube channel and find out exactly when the contests are going to drop.
Nice, very nice. No fake Aussies allowed. Oh, I'm not even gonna bring that one up. That's Mama Faraci. That's a shot right there. That's a shot over the bow.
Shots fired.
Shots are fired already. Opening night. This is like the Monday Night War all of a sudden.
Right?
That's like Lex Luger walking out at the end of this show. Holy crap. All right, Steve, thanks a lot for coming on. I'll guess I see you Wednesday for our I
think are you going to do a show tomorrow? Just too sweet?
I don't know because of the football game.
You're right.
I have to give the wife the good space.
It's crazy because football is going to be like every day of the week now.
Yeah,
with the way COVID's going. All right, fellas, enjoy the show. Have a good one. Break a leg.
Thanks
this
for coming
is the
on.
very first show on the network. It's very exciting. Very, very exciting. Come south to catch a G-Man. Yeah, absolutely. When we're a good team. That's maybe. So which is going to come first? COVID being gone or the Giants being good again? That's our next debate.
Oh boy.
Let's not go there.
All right, fellas.
All right, Steve. Catch you later, man. Thanks for coming on.
Have a good one.
See you
later, buddy. Take care, Ed. Bye.
All right. That was exciting. Very exciting. Yes, exciting. Everyone follow all the new stuff down here. It's good to go. All right. Now we have to move on, unfortunately, to another legend, but this one hurt a little more because he was a Yankee legend. Mr. Edward Charles Whitey Ford, the chairman of the board, passed away also, which I'm not going to lie, I thought would be the catalyst of the Yankees winning that Game 5. Unfortunately, no. But and also, you know what's sad about this though? He is the last of that era.
Yeah.
That 50s, 60s swaggery Copacabana, in your face, dominate Yankee team, and he was the last one, and he was the quietest of the ones too.
Yep.
Maybe Yogi, but Yogi liked to talk, but he was the last real one of that era, so it's a little extra sad. Tell us about the chairman of the board.
Yeah. So, rest in peace, Whitey Ford. Honestly, arguably the greatest starting pitcher in Yankees history. Whitey had a career record of 236 and 106, 275 ERA with a 121 WHIP. He had 1,956 strikeouts in his career. Elected to the Hall of Fame in 1974, 1961 AL Cy Young winner, 10-time All-Star, 6-time World Series champion, 1961 World Series MVP. He won the ERA title twice. 3-time AL wins leader, and he had his number 16 retired. So next time you're in the stadium, drop by Monument Park, and I'll check out number 16. As far as historically as well within the Yankees, he's the all-time wins leader with the Yankees at 236. Also leads them in career shutouts with 45, and innings pitched at 3,170 and a third innings. And he's tied with Andy Pettitte for most games started by a pitcher at 438. Ford played 16 seasons. And he also lost 2 seasons of his career in 1951 and 1952 due to service time in the military. Ford was born in Manhattan but was raised in Astoria, Queens, and grew up a Yankees fan, kind of like Tim and I. Yankees fans from Queens, but Whitey got to play for the team and was just an absolute legend. Known as the chairman of the board for the most, but Casey Stengel also referred to Ford and Mantle as the whiskey slicks. So he mainly used to go with Ford as Slick. So if you remember watching 61, you heard him referred to as Slick a couple of times here and there, and that actually references another nickname that was given to them by Casey. Casey would also be known to have Ford as kind of like his secret weapon, something you don't see around these days. He would have him skip starts and actually move him based on, there's a big game coming up, so I'm going to save Whitey for that game and give him a couple of extra days rest and then pitch him against whoever they needed to. So, that's how much shows you how much he thought of Whitey Ford, that he would specifically like, this is my money guy, this is how it goes. Like, imagine today if, Boone was doing that with Garrett Cole. It was just like, we're going to save him a couple of days because we want him to pitch against, the Rays or whoever the heck it was that was coming up. So that was kind of unprecedented.
Greatest pitcher in Yankee history? or definitely the greatest starter in Yankee history. But a lot of people will argue Mo as
Yeah,
the greatest pitcher in Yankee history, but greatest starter definitely.
yeah, I would say that. And it's hard to compare the two because one's a starting pitcher, completely different eras, and one is the greatest closer of all time. So, yeah, as far as starting pitchers go, Whitey was it, man. And it's gonna be very different, going back to an old timers day now. Because I mean, now Ford was, the last guy out who would come in and take a couple of steps out of the dugout. He would still wave to the crowd with his jersey on and things like that. But I saw some of that debate going on, like who now is the greatest living Yankee, because that's what Ford is being referred to as.
That's a good question.
Mariano. I
I think you're talking about the older guys. I mean,
that's really up in the air, but they're just saying like greatest living Yankee now. Like,
yeah, we got Jeter, Rivera. Yeah, we got those guys. I'm not worried.
There's plenty, but like it's just crazy that that's how far it's shifted now. You know what I mean? Because whenever we think of greatest living Yankee, our brains, like you right now with you, your brain automatically jumps to like a guy who played in the 50s and the 60s and stuff like that. And now it's kind of like, man.
Yeah, I didn't even think about because if Rivera, Jeter's the greatest living Yankee, it's like, oh, really?
You're like, wow, what happened?
That's depressing. Where'd the 70s go? What happened?
No knocking of Reggie or Craig Nettles or anything like that, but. That also shows you where Rivera and Jeter, stand in the old time list there. But it is something, man, and it's something to see these guys go.
Are we shit talking already?
Oh, that's my cousin Frank. Well, Frank, you'll get to that because you'll probably get a kick out of some of this that's coming.
Yeah. So let's just get it out of the way now. Parental discretion is advised. When we start talking about the ALDS, we'll throw that out there now, and I'll make sure I hit the explicit button when I post this online. So yeah, you know what? Let's just get to this. Let's just get to this already.
All right. Well,
it's not so much they lost; it's the decisions that were made during the losing that's quite baffling. So I guess we'll get to that now.
Let's recap the ALDS. Let's get it started. It's even funny, like, you look back on it now, we're going to talk about some of the happy times during the ALDS. And
game one.
Like game one, which we'll start off with. But for me, it's almost like thinking about what we used to joke about RoboCop. We both love RoboCop, but then we start thinking about the sequels and we're like, let's just stop it right there. Let's just pretend the rest of it never happened. All right, so game one of the division series, the Yanks won big, 9-3. Garrett Cole got the win, going 6 innings, scattering 6 hits, gave up 3 runs with 8 strikeouts during that time. Green and Britton came on to go ahead and pitch a scoreless inning each. Yanks got homers by Frazier, who got the thing started with a ball that seemed like it got out in about a blink of an eye. To left, Kyle Higashioka added another one, and Aaron Judge. Before Giancarlo Stanton blew the game wide open with a grand slam in the 9th inning. Hicks was also 3 for 4 in that game with 2 ribbies. There was a thing that was mentioned. I got a lot of people talking, especially Pedro Martinez on the postgame show, when Gleyber Torres took second base in the 9th inning with the Yanks had a 6-run lead off of Rays rookie McClanahan. Pedro lost it. He was going ahead, and I know we referenced earlier in the season, so it all comes full circle about the unwritten rules of baseball. And honestly, I think Pedro may have been the only person on the planet who had an issue with this, because everyone else, from what I saw and what I was thinking, was like, listen, in today's game, that's a rule that's got to go out the window. I mean, you're up 6, but what the hell does that mean anymore? Like, offense, like home runs are hit left and right, and offense scores so many runs. Like, you can't take anything. That's what Gleyber was like, listen, no disrespect to them. I don't mean disrespect to anyone, but I'm going to take the base. That's it. Like, there's no lead that's safe.
You know what? First F-bomb. Fuck Pedro Martinez. There it is. That's the first one, because I can't stand that dude.
It's my most hated of all time. I mean, but yeah, he deserves it. He does warrant the first F-bomb dropped on the show. Well, in that game, also, Stanton became the first Yankee DH to hit a home run in postseason history. That's kind of crazy. Like, I know we've been rolling off a lot of these first things, and it's always shocking because, especially with the Yankees, like, you would figure something like this would have happened already.
I would have thought Mike Stanley or Jim Leyritz would have been at DH, but no, they weren't.
Chili Davis would have been a good option in the late '90s, or Darryl Strawberry or something like that.
Yeah, you're right. Wow, that is crazy.
Jason Giambi, like another DH Yanks had that was you'd see like he probably hit a grand slam. No, Stanton became the first. Yankees became the first team in MLB history to score 9+ runs in each of their first 3 games of a postseason. At that point, so then that takes us up to the game that's probably going to warrant the most discussion in the series. Was Game 2. So as we recapped, trying to go back to it, Yanks were up 1-0 in the series after a very dominating Game 1 win. So you would think the Yanks are the ones who are not desperate in this situation at all. The Yanks are the ones who are in the driver's seat. The Yanks are the ones with actual 5 starters in their rotation, and full disclosure too. Before we really dive into this, I just want to set the stage first. The reason in just in case you do not know, the reason why the Rays and other teams and the Yankees have done it at times too, when you have an opener and you do that whole thing, it's because you want a lights out reliever to face the top of the order because you want to minimize how many times the bulk guy, which is usually the second guy that comes in who you don't have a lot of confidence in, to face come in the later part of the order, not have to face the meat and potatoes of the order as many times as possible. That's the strategy behind it. Okay? Now, that takes us to Game 2, where the Yanks announced Deivi Garcia was going to get the start in Game 2, which surprised a lot of people, including myself. I thought Masahiro Tanaka would have got that, even though he did struggle in Game 2 against the Indians. That had the monsoon and had a lot of other crap going on. You kind of give him a mulligan for that and lean on his postseason career. All right, so they decide to roll with the kid. Garcia he actually is still the youngest starter youngest player to start a postseason game in Yankees history before what I'm going to refer to as the hat crap happened. So it was predetermined that Deivi Garcia was only going to pitch 1 inning as an opener, which the Yankees did not reveal to anyone, which mostly happens in the press these days. They'll kind of unfold all of their thoughts out there. Yanks played this one close to the vest and didn't. But then you see 1 or 2 batters into the game, Haps warming up. My first thought is, is Garcia hurt or something? Did I miss something? Like, are they going to go out to the mound? And then, you start thinking along with it. What is going on here? And then, no, they're going to use him as an opener. So Hap comes out to pitch the top of the second inning. And, the bottom of the second. And then that's when the wheels came off. Hap would end up going ahead, lasting 2 1/3. Giving up 4 home runs, giving up 2 homers, one of them to Mike Zunino, light-hitting Rays catcher who hit 147 this year and had a strikeout rate of 44%. And then also gives up a 2-run homer to Margot, who is a good hitter, but still Mike Zunino. A lot of people jumped on Boone and being the manager of the team, but I also think we need to take a look at this and know when Aaron Boone was hired, it was because he's a communicator, right? Because we know that Boone isn't. Well, Mike, we're getting into that right now. You can't go ahead and blame Boone for honestly all of it, though. I don't believe in that either. Like Luke Voigt, actually, we'll get to that part too. But no, the big things here is that was an organizational decision. There was no way Aaron Boone came up with this on his own. The Yankees have a huge analytical department. Brian Cashman has. I'm sure there was a meeting with Boone, with their bench coaches, with Cashman, with the front office, and they were like, "Hey, listen, here's all the numbers, blah blah blah. Let's try to beat the Rays at their own game and have Cash run out a lineup that had 5 lefties in it." And guess what? Well, he'll put out 5 lefties, and then we'll do a bait and switch, and then we're going to run Hap out there, so it'll give him the advantage to face 5 lefties. Rays didn't blink. They didn't change their lineup at all, and the lefties all hit Hap because Hap isn't good enough to warrant that thing. So personally, I would have been like, let's rock with Garcia. Let's go ahead. I can live with it if Garcia got bombed. Honestly, if Garcia went out there and got slapped around, I can honestly take that more than this crap. Or if you started Hap, then start Hap then. Then start him from the get-go, and that's it. The fact that they tried to beat the Rays at their own game and tried to get slick and all this other stuff is what drives you nuts. They completely overthought it. There was no reason for any of that. They have the starting pitching, did not need an opener. You just go with it, pick who you're going to go with, and rock with it. And I know CC Sabathia is completely on board. He was dropping F-bombs left and right on the R2C2 show with Ryan Rucco, because he even was like, what the hell is going on here? You know, essentially, what the fuck was the quote that was there.
Yeah, up one after a dominating performance, and you start playing games. Why start playing games? Just play the damn game.
Yeah.
Tanaka should have started game 2. Period. Simple as that.
Exactly. Once they announced that he wasn't starting game 2, that seemed like it was kind of weird and really out of character for the Yanks. And it was just, you had to start wondering what the hell was going on here. And they were playing games but not announcing their starter until the last minute. And then Garcia comes out and like, all right, that's an interesting choice. And then you pull this. You completely overthought it. Probably turned the tide. I mean, it is debatable whether it turned the tide in the series or not. But you would think the Yankees got smacked around. If Cole went out there in game 1 and got lit up and got smacked around and the Yanks had no starting pitching, they were super desperate, then I can kind of understand where you would try to like overthink it or outmaneuver the Rays, but you didn't. The Rays are a smart organization as well. They saw it. They didn't blink. They were like, screw it. We're going to leave our lineup the same. We're not going to start substituting everybody. And then the Yanks paid for it. There was a final of 7-5. Stanton kept rolling. 2 for 4, 2 more homers, 4 RBIs in that game. Stanton became the first player in MLB history with 4+ homers and 10 RBIs in his team's first 4 postseason games. So that was the silver lining to a 7-5 loss. But Yanks also had a chance in the later innings. They did. They had runners on. You had the go-ahead run at the plate and couldn't get it done against the Rays lights-out bullpen. So that was that. And again, though, like if you're going to try to lay into Boone on this, you got to kind of lay into the organization as a whole, because we do know that that's how decisions are made these days. Baseball managers are not all given the same authority as they used to, and that's why they've hired him. That's why they moved away from Joe Girardi. It takes us to game 3, which was another Yanks loss, which they dropped 8-4. We had mentioned we both wanted Tanaka to pitch game 2, but he did go out, didn't have much against the Rays. He only lasted 4 innings, giving up 8 hits and 5 runs. Green came in for 1 inning. He also gave up 2 runs. Yanks had Charlie Morton on the ropes with the bases loaded. Would only came away with a sac fly by Judge in the 3rd inning. That was your chance. That was your chance to jump on them and to try to maybe like right the ship right there, but they'll take it. If you're going to have bases loaded and get away with 1 run, you'll probably live with that most times. Thank you, Roll. Yeah, it's a lot. And then it was a weird move by
who did that?
He's burying the lead. I was going to kind of get to that after the last game 5 recap, but we'll get to that in a minute. Boone had a weird position, weird spot too, which he did fully make the decision with. Boone pinch hit Clint Frazier for Kyle Higashioka later in the game, and then the Rays went ahead and counteracted by bringing in a righty to face Frazier. Then before Frazier can grab a bat, then he pinch hits Mike Ford, who hasn't gotten a hit since August, to pinch hit for Frazier. Why? Again, overthinking. Completely overthinking this. Mike Ford is left-handed. That's fantastic. But he also has not gotten a hit since August. So that's kind of ridiculous. Stanton kept rolling again with 2 for 4 with a 2-run home run. I mean, he really carried the Yanks this series a lot. And then that takes us to the next game in game 4, which the Yanks did a rebound. Now, the big question is, who was going to start that game? They rolled out Jordan Montgomery, which kind of tells you that they were doing all the bait and switch things. How do you feel about Jordan Montgomery? Well, Montgomery answered the bell, man. He gave them 4 innings, only 3 hits and 1 run. He was on the ropes a little bit early, but managed to work his way around it. Kyle Higashioka was pretty much Henrik Lundqvist in the back there, blocking pitches left and right, which is, thank God they didn't have Gary Sanchez there for that. Otherwise, that game probably doesn't turn out the same. Then the Yanks, Monty only went 4 innings. Then the Yanks had to get to their bullpen, which I understand it's a do-or-die game. Green gave them 2 phenomenal innings. Then Britton gave them an inning and 2/3, and Chapman gave them an inning and a 1/3. The bullpen gave up no hits and 1 walk from that point on. They were completely lights out. The bullpen was rested and ready to go at that point. So I totally understand why you start rolling out Britton and Chapman early. Voit got things going early on with a home run. He did not have a great series, but that was a huge home run for him. Gleyber Torres was 2 for 3 with a 2-run homer. That was in the 6th inning. That was off that warehouse in left field on the 4th story of it. Shoot, I mean, that was just an absolute missile. With that homer, Gleyber Torres tied Mickey Mantle for the most career postseason home runs by a Yankee before the age of 24 with his 5th career postseason homer. So two baby bombers who, I mean, if he has a career anyone like Mantle's, then we're in pretty good shape with that. Stanton added a double in that game as well as a sole hit, but that also made him the first player in postseason history with an extra base hit in each of his team's first 6 playoff games. We'll get back to Stanton in a second, but then that comes to the heartbreaker in Game 5 that the Yanks dropped 2-1. Garrett Cole started for the first time in his career on only 3 days rest. He went 5 in the 3rd, lights out inning, lights out ball he pitched. He only gave up 1 hit and 1 run, which was that solo home run to Austin Meadows. That was the one where Judge tried to, jump up and rob it. Like there was an overhang where he banged his head against the thing. I'm not even sure why that was constructed like that. I'm sure not a lot of other players do that because Aaron Judge is just a monster of a person, so that's probably why he bangs his head against it. But Cole did strike out 9 as well. I saw a bunch of things, I do know some Rays fans and things like that who were sharing stuff on Facebook and stuff. Like, we beat Cole and look at his pay versus the whole Rays roster. You didn't beat Cole. Cole did his job. He left. He did not take the loss in that game. He left with a tied 1-1.
Cole was 2-0, actually. You didn't beat him.
Yeah. Cole did his job and answered the bell, man. So you can't shit on Cole with that one whatsoever. But being on 3 days rest is probably why they didn't want to push the envelope with him and keep it going. But then that also opened up some other, weird decisions right there where you had to figure. Well, yeah, you had to figure Britton was going to come in early. They were going to try to get to the back end of the bullpen. But then when you got to Chapman, you asked him to get 7 outs, which he never does. Like that's not something you ask your closer to do normally. I understand all rules go out in the playoffs, but that's a lot for any closer. That is a lot.
And Chapman's not that guy. He's not that guy.
No, I mean, honestly, for 2 innings, I would have been okay with that. But it's still, though. But, like, pitchers are a creature of habit. Baseball players in general are creatures of habit. So you're going to ask them to come in, sit down, wherever long that goes, then get back up for the 8th inning, then get back up for the 9th inning. Like, that was your plan. And then, I don't know. It just didn't seem – it just seemed like it was another move of desperation right there. But actually, the Yanks were leading 1-0 at one point, where Judge went ahead and hit a solo homer to right field. You had mentioned Austin Meadows tied it at 1-1. And then the big moment came where, Brazeau, who, those who I'm sure if you're watching that show, the history, where Brazeau went ahead and kind of was thrown out by Chapman in the regular season, causing that whole thing, the stable of 98 stuff and, the whole thing there. And I'm not going to defend Aroldis Chapman for throwing at a guy's head at 100 miles an hour. Like that isn't right, whether he's on the Yankees or not. That is a bit uncalled for. I do not think he was trying to hit him intentionally, but it is a dangerous pitch. I'm sure that wasn't forgotten about when he was coming up because he pinch hit for G-Man Choi earlier in the game. You knew that matchup was coming. And, Chapman, tough at bat too. He kept fouling off pitches, fouling off that fastball. You can see he was getting the timing closer and closer and closer. Sanchez was trying to go ahead and call a slider in that situation. And I'm pretty sure Chapman, thinking back to what happened with Altuve last year, did not want to get beat on the second best pitch with a slider. So he insisted on the fastball. He throws a 100-mile-an-hour fastball in on his hands, and he turned it around. I mean, you kind of do got to tip your cap to the guy, and you do got to wonder, if we're being honest, if there was a bit of, if you believe in karma and the universe and all of that stuff, then perhaps, if we're going to be honest, maybe Chapman got kind of what he deserved. He got a little payback there. But I was giving Brazeau a lot of credit, though, in the post game because he kind of stayed away from that. Chapman's not that guy. He did it with the Cubs and now multiple times. Well, I mean, listen, the Cubs, I'm sure if you ask any Cubs fan if they're glad that they had Chapman on their team in 2016, I'm pretty sure they'll say we'll take it again every single time over and we'll give you Gleyber any day you want over it. They broke that curse, but without Chapman, they probably don't win that series. Yeah, so Brazoa was kind of getting baited by the reporters a lot and stuff like that to like, hey, was this, revenge, and he kind of took the high road and was just like, listen, their bullpen's tough. We had to do what we had to do against them, and took them deep. So he kind of stayed away from it. But then we'll get back to that second because I know Mike was referencing what that was, what happened in the post game with the Rays. But then that takes us to the top of the 8th inning. So the Yanks were down 2-1. So Boone decides to pinch hit Mike Ford again for Kyle Higashioka. Clint Frazier, not available? Maybe. I mean, again, there's a lot of faith in Mike Ford. A lot of faith right there. But then that leads you to believe the Yanks are carrying 2 catches in the ALDS. That tells you what all you needed to know about how they feel about Sanchez's bat right now. Because Sanchez was coming in for defense, right? Which is also risky on its own because he has trouble catching Chapman all the time. But so you bypass Sanchez as a pinch hitter, which I'm not against, but you kind of could have went with Clint Frazier. He was available, and he also can turn around a fastball, pretty well with the lightning bat speed that he has. That we all know, legendary bat speed. And the Yanks were 0 for 1 with runners in scoring position in Game 5. 0 for 1. They had one at bat with a runner in scoring position that game. And that tells you all you needed to know about the offense for Game 5. But as much as Brazo took the high road about not talking about Chapman in it, it was seen after the cameras went ahead and the cameras were off and the Rays were celebrating on the field. They played New York, New York. They played Empire State of Mind, obviously trolling the Yanks and all this stuff. I thought that was, listen, I get it. They won the series, to the victor go the spoils and all of that. But I don't know. Then it was like you took the high road and now you decided to go drop down to that. So all I can say is if the Yankees go ahead and face them again next season and we beat them, what are the Yankees going to play? Jimmy Buffett? Are you going to throw a public sandwich on the floor and stomp it out or something like that?
That's it. Go to the Piggly Wiggly and start a riot. I don't know. What they're going to do.
Yeah, what are you going to do? So I could maybe I'll take that as a compliment because we're in New York and we have plenty of stuff that you want to kind of try to take down and stuff like that. But I don't know. I just thought that was a little bit unnecessary or whatever. But
a few people I know, I'm going to play New York over and over again because I'm so happy they lost. I'm like, it's just a Sinatra song, dude. It's a good song.
It is
it's Sinatra.
It's a great song. Listen, it closed my wedding. It closed many weddings also. I mean, yes, it is affiliated with the Yankees. It's very connected with that. I get that.
It's karaoke at mine.
Yeah.
My engagement party, I could karaoke that. So, I mean, come on. It's a great song. You're in New York. You live in New York. You have to hear that song at least once.
Yeah, exactly. But listen, nonetheless, looking back on it, man, like that Game 2 decision with the organizational decision with Hampson, it did turn the tide. I don't know if it lost the series for them. I wouldn't say that. The bottom line is the Yanks got to start getting more runners on, producing more runs, manufacturing a run here and there when you have to. I'm not telling you go out there and start having Judge bunt or Stanton bunt and all this other crap in weird situations just because you got a runner on. But the offense has to be more diversified. It just absolutely has to.
Yeah, Mike, what are you going to do? I mean, what are you going to do? They won the series. Now, the only heartbreaking thing is now you got to root for them because there is no way in hell I want the Astros anywhere near the World Series.
Well, that's the thing right now, right?
Matter of fact, I'm digging out my Dodgers hat out of my closet over here. I'm going to put that bitch on for the next 2 weeks. I can't have them anywhere near the World Series because basically, if they win, it justifies cheating. See, we told you. We told you we didn't need. Yeah, but you did cheat.
Well, they were doing that. The Astros were pumping their chest out after they beat the Twins, which is essentially a postseason bye now.
Yeah.
Lack of hitting in key situations and not their pitching. What do you guys think?
A little bit of both.
I mean, they went out and signed Garrett Cole not because they had enough starting pitching. They needed an ace. You had to go for that.
Wow. There you go, Hollywood. I like that. Just dump orange juice everywhere. But they'll be offended. They're too stupid to figure out what that even means.
Well, how about this? We just kick their asses next time, and then we just move on and don't lower ourselves to their crap. How about that? Who gives a shit?
I can do that too.
No, I mean, is answering Raul's question there. I mean, they signed Cole for a reason. They needed an ace. Had Tanaka. I think it seemed like we had more faith in their starting rotation than they did internally. By that move in game 2 kind of shows you what they felt about their rotation. And I think that was a complete miscalculation of the entire situation right there. You're up in the series, you take it to them, you don't try to play their own game and try to say, oh yeah, we're smarter than them. The Rays are a very smart organization. Say what you want about whatever. They do what they do with a very, very small budget, and they're always competitive. They're going to be around for a while. They're not going away. We're going to have to contend with them for a bit. 2 different ways to do it, but you play your game. You don't try to go ahead and mimic them at their own game. They go ahead and they need an opener. They need all this other crap because they don't have 5 starters. That's exactly why it happens. But they figure out a way to win. I'm not trying to knock it, but if you're the Yankees, you have Garcia. He's came up a bit earlier than anyone expected. You roll with him. You roll with Tanaka. Screw it. Hap's on the team. He has experience. You put him out there. You put Jordan Montgomery, who proved the Yankees wrong of what they thought. Because the Yankees are not going to say, oh, we always knew we had Jordan Montgomery to fall back on in a game 4 if we were facing elimination. That wasn't it. He was a game 4 starter because you didn't believe in him earlier to start him earlier in the series. So I don't know. I think the Yanks, as far as it goes with the offense, though, home run or nothing isn't always going to win it. But guess what? The teams that are winning the World Series now, they're hitting a lot of home runs. The Rays beat us at our own game in game 5. All 3 runs in the game were all scored on solo homers, but they happen to have a guy who turned around a 100-mile-an-hour fastball on his hand. So, I mean, sometimes you tip your cap, and they were a little bit better that day.
I'll tip my cap. I was going to say, even though we lost, I'm not even going to ask because we're going to have the same exact answer again. I have spoken, and
of course, it's only fair.
We know who it's going to be. You might as well just say it because we're going to have the exact same 2 people again. Well, here, I'll put it up for the Force is Strong with this one, who is obviously going to be Mr. Giancarlo Stanton, who was a goddamn monster in this. It's about time. I'm going to say it. It's about freaking time. But, health is a big thing. And he showed up in a major way this time. Just got to stay healthy, man, and that's what he can do for us in the future.
Yeah, that's what I've been saying. All these people knocking, he only hits home runs against bad pitching, or he only hits them when they don't matter. That's a load of shit, and that's it. The big thing is he has to stay healthy. He's talked this season about, even at the end, maybe different routines and stuff like that to try to make sure, help his legs out and stuff like that. Hopefully it sticks together, man, because the guy hit 308, had 8 hits, 6 homers, 13 RBIs, and 7 runs scored in the postseason. So all you fans out there who are like, Stanton sucks, let's trade him for a bag of balls, let's do all this other crap. No. You need him in the lineup. He needs to be in the middle there. I say now, I'll say it again. The Yankees are not winning any World Series anytime soon if he's not a big part of it. And he did his part. He showed up more than anyone else did. And I'm not saying everyone else tapped out at all, because there were some guys, Gleyber Torres, Gio Urshela, DJ LeMahieu. There were guys that hit. But, Stanton was on another planet with this one.
And obviously, I think we'll go with the same exact person who probably won the award this year for us overall, Garrett Cole, 2-0. Pitched his ass off again. And again, anybody who's knocking him or saying, no, you paid all that money, Yeah, he was worth every goddamn penny this year. I hate to tell you. I don't know what you're looking at, all because his ERA was not under 1 or 1 point. Hey, he wasn't even Jacob deGrom as far as ERA this year. Who cares? Yeah. He pitched his ass off, and he earned that first year's check as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, Garrett Cole definitely answered the bell and some. He lived up to the hype in a very short season and in the playoffs. But, he definitely did his thing. So I have zero complaints about Garrett Cole. And, yes, he was my guy who has spoken, pitcher of the ALDS for the Yanks. He did more than could have been asked. He had a pitch on short rets due to the no off days. We'll see how the playoff format is next season, if this is how it's going to be going forward. But, yeah, Garrett Cole definitely answered the bell without question.
And now, of course, the big question is, of course, where do we go from here? What do we do? Who are we going after? Who we're not going after? Who's not going to be back next year? Right off the bat, I don't know who's. I mean, Trevor Bowers. Are we going after Trevor Bowers? Are we going after JT Real Muto? Are you sticking with Sanchez? So many freaking questions. Right off the bat, Ed, who do you not see coming back next year if you had to pick somebody?
Not coming back, I don't think there's. I mean, unless Paxton is going to take like a 1-year deal, a prove-it deal. I think I had mentioned a couple episodes ago. I don't see them bringing him back. His injury concerns have been what they are. I have a feeling somebody else will probably swoop in and try to overpay him for that, but good luck with that. Paxton wasn't a bad pitcher for the Yankees, though. I mean, but he just, I don't know. I don't see it. Happ is definitely gone. So I'd even say Happ is already out the door before Paxton is, because I think there's 0% that they pick up Happ's option for next season, which he does have, which the Yankees do hold on him. So Happ is definitely gone. Paxton's gone. So I think that leaves the big question of what is their rotation going to look like next year. Cole is going to be in it. You would have to believe
Cole is the only one you can say is definitely going to be in that rotation next year. Even Tanaka, we don't know if they're going to be. Probably will re-sign him.
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying. As far as guys who are actually under contract, you have Garrett Cole. You got to believe Devry Garcia is definitely going to get a shot in spring training to make the team. Perhaps at the back end, him and Jordan Montgomery, you would think might be your 4 and 5 starters next season, because I also do think that's what the Yankees didn't break the bank for Mike Clevenger, because they felt that they didn't want to give up all these guys for a short-term solution. Tanaka's a huge question of are they going to bring him back or not? My guess is that they will bring him back. I would be pretty shocked if they don't bring Tanaka back. I don't think he's going to get the annual salary that he was getting before, because he was getting, well over 20 for, annually. So I don't see that happening. He is 30 years old right now too. So the length of the contract won't be as long. Perhaps a 3-4 year deal for Tanaka, maybe around 20 or a little bit less. That's what I would. That's my guess as far as it goes. But I'm sure they'll figure something out, because from everything I've seen and heard, that Tanaka loves playing for the Yankees. The Yankees love him as well. So I don't see anywhere that doesn't happen. That's.
What about your friend Mike Ford?
No.
No. So what about those guys? Ford, Tauchman, your Brett Gardner's. I mean, Brett Gardner, lifelong Yankee. I'd hate to see him go, but it might be time. Tauchman and Ford, I have no connection to like I do with Gardner. Yeah. You see Gardner coming back?
I think Gardner's a really interesting question, because I think Frazier has done enough to warrant being the starting left fielder moving forward, or at least having a shot at it. Yeah, we'll get to DJ LeMahieu in a second. We will kind of answer the ones that were, that have options here.
The big questions.
Yes, the bigger question. No, Gardner the Yanks have a $10 million club option for Gardner next season. I think I kind of see Frazier being the starting left fielder, Tauchman being the fourth outfielder. The question is, do you need a fifth outfielder? I don't know. I don't know.
The way Judge and
well, that's the question.
Can't stay on the field. We don't know.
Well, no, and Hicks also. Hicks has been had the injury bug. Who signed for a while? Judge has had his injuries to deal with. That's the question. But it also does handcuff your bench to carry that many outfielders. Would you rather carry a guy? Because I think that ties into what we just said. You got guys like Mike Ford on the bench. Tyler Wade is a valuable asset to have on your bench. Great defender, can play multiple positions, brings you speed, but not the greatest hitter in the world. So in situations like we just saw in the playoffs, the Rays are running out guys like Brazeau and things like that. Our bench, we have Mike Ford. No knock on him. I mean, he did his job, in 2019, but was not even close to being the same player this season. So you have to wonder, maybe you want a guy who's a little bit, a better hitter off the bench right there. My gut says that we will not see Gardner back next season. I think they decline the option and they move on.
Does he play for the Marlins next year?
Why not?
With Jeter and Posada, does he go down there and play with them?
I don't know. No, I think Gardner would probably get picked up by another contender who maybe needs a fourth outfielder type of that. I don't think anyone's signing him to be a starting outfielder at this point. I think maybe, like you want a veteran fourth guy off the bench. I think that's the kind of spot he flies into. I'm not sure where he would end up, but my gut feeling says that they're not picking up that option. That they're going to try to go a little bit younger, not carry 5 outfielders, go with 4, and just rely on some of these guys to start staying healthy. And I guess that brings us to the big question is DJ LeMahieu.
You have to.
I think you have to. I think the only way LeMahieu prices himself out is if he gets completely insane with this. I know it was mentioned on the K show earlier that they were talking about, there were some reports out there that were talking about he wants $25 million a year for like a bit for like 5 years or something like that. I'm not sure if I'm going that far. That would be kind of
30. Well, how old is he?
32.
32, yeah.
At $25 million a year, I mean, that's a bit excessive.
Yeah, that is. That's unfortunate too.
Yeah, and he's another guy though who I'm sure his agent probably wanted to strangle him when he's been saying recently he wants to stay. He openly has said it. He loves playing for the Yanks. He wants to stay. I would still see something envisioning 4 years at $20 million a year, which is still a big jump up from the 12 he was getting. But he has also earned it. You kind of got to look at it too, is that he's outperformed his contract. I think his game is not one that's going to fall off the planet. As he gets a little bit older, I think he can keep going with the game that he plays. 4 years at 80 is kind of what I would be comfortable signing him for. And yes, I'd be pretty shocked if he's not back.
Now, what about, like I said, the only 2 big free agents I know that are coming up are Trevor Bauer and JT Realmuto.
Yeah.
And Realmuto came out with his ridiculous contract demand. Well, supposedly his ridiculous contract, which will make him the highest paid catcher ever in the history of the universe.
Yeah. And he's no spring chicken either.
Any chance the Yankees will go after either one of them?
So I guess that jumps into, well, whatever. We can get to Bauer because I think Realmuto is more of a talking point. Trevor Bauer was openly tweeting over the last week or so, hey, Yanks could use a starting pitcher. Padres, imagine them with a starting pitcher. So he's kind of throwing himself out there for that. He is a bit of a wacky guy, but he's a really good pitcher, and he would probably be a pretty lights-out number 2 or number 3 in the Yanks rotation. The Yanks will have Luis Severino back next year, but he's not going to be back until June. He's a guy you could see as a number 2 to Cole or a number 3 as well, but you're not going to have him right off the bat. Plus, he's coming off Tommy John surgery. Next season, you would assume he's going to need to try to get back to it. We probably won't see the real Luis Severino until 2022. I think if the price is right, I can see them kind of going after Bauer, honestly. I think he's more realistic. JT Realmuto, that I don't see. I don't see the Yankees spending a boatload on a catcher at this point who is around 30 years old as well. I think that, and especially if those contract demands that you mentioned are real, there's no chance. I don't think if they're real. I see him more in play for the Mets, honestly, and it's not a shit talking thing whatsoever. Again, I know it's funny how we have to kind of disclose that at times, but the Mets aren't in need of a guy that would be like a leader like that. A catcher who can hit as well.
Getting a real owner.
Yes, so they can afford him.
They're getting a guy who's going to spend a shitload of money, so
that might be the splash that they make. I don't see him in play for the Yanks. I think the Yanks catching situation is really interesting, though, because the way they handled Sanchez after his regular season performance, the way they handled him in the playoffs, going with Higashioka, pretty much, all of 2 games in the entire playoff run, that kind of shows you where they're at with him. Sanchez is also not making a lot of money. So is it worth trading him at this point? Because you're not going to get anything back for Sanchez right now. His value is extremely low. So I also don't want to see the Yanks trade him for a bag of balls or Warren Gatorade, which I've said in the past. That would be kind of insane. So I don't know. And I don't see Kyle Higashioka, a 30-year-old starting catcher who's been a career mostly minor leaguer, suddenly being the starting catcher for the Yankees over the course of a season. He's an excellent defender. He's the perfect backup. That'll be something to watch. That'll be something really, really interesting to watch.
I mean, he came up big this year. He really did.
No, he did, and I'm not knocking him, but I'm just saying, looking at where they're going, for a guy who's he's a career minor leaguer for a reason. He's not the best hitter unless the Yanks are like, hey, we're just going to treat the catching position as solely defense, and whatever we get offensively, we get. We've totally done it. I mean, are you going to carry Gary Sanchez as a backup catcher then?
What does Sanchez have left on his deal? What does he have left?
He's arbitration eligible this offseason, which he might get around $10 million. So he's going to get it.
It's worth taking their risk for one more year then.
I think it is. I think
he wakes up.
Yeah, that's my guess, is that you're probably going to see him get a shot in spring training to compete for the job. I think that it's not worth the trade at this point because you're not going to get much for him anyway, unless the Yanks really feel like there's no chance. He has to have a change of scenery and he has to go. That's when the Yanks would make that move. Another interesting thing is what happens with Miguel Andujar. His agent had comments that we mentioned. Over there, Gio Shell is obviously third base is his starting job. It's not going to go back to Andujar. You're not going to get much back for him, though. So these are guys that you're going to have to trade. I don't know if you even, you're going to want to package him or something like that. I'm not so sure.
It's even worth it. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. If you can find the right deal for both of them and put them together, maybe the value is there and you get something in return. But those are two interesting moves to watch with the Yankees. Miguel Andujar and Gary Sanchez, where they're going to go with that, besides the free agent. DJ LeMahieu is the biggest thing. Tanaka's another thing. Do they upgrade the rotation? I don't know. There's some big questions to ask, and we will have more.
Are those the two biggest free agents, right? Bauer and Realmuto?
Yeah, that I would even say that, because there's not. And another factor you got to look at, too, is, what teams are going to spend money right now, but with no fans. I mean, they all took a beating this season with no fans. There's probably not going to be fans in a lot of ballparks to start next season.
That's where I think the Mets are going to have a massive advantage this year. Yeah. Massive advantage, because they're bringing in a billionaire
who hasn't lost money.
He didn't lose any money this year.
Yep.
He'll go out and spend $1 billion if he has to put a team together, So yeah. I think the Mets are going to have a huge offseason and they might get Bowers and Realmuto and who knows who else. Just based on the fact that Cohen, I didn't lose any money. I made money this year. I made a shitload of money this year, and I can do what I want,
Yeah. Well, I actually had pulled up MLB.com as a listing of the top 25 free agents in 2020, 2021. They have Realmuto by the way, he is 30 years old. So his, that deal that you keep hearing about, that long-term crazy deal, I don't know, 30-year-old catcher.
Catcher. I don't know.
Nah. They have Trevor Bauer listed as number 2, who is also 30, but he's not, I haven't heard anything. He's going to get paid, but I'm not seeing no 7-year, 8-year deal for him. Astros, George Springer, outfielder, not really a guy the Yanks would be interested in. Marcus Semien, shortstop, not really interested in him either. These guys are all 30 years old, by the way. Marcell Ozuna of the Braves. And then they have DJ LeMahieu ranked number 6 at age 32. Marcus Stroman, who's 29. I also don't see Marcus Stroman being better than anything that the Yankees currently got anyway, so I don't see that either. Didi is ranked as number 8 on this list. So there's really no, young up-and-coming guys you're like, oh, my God, this has to be. Bauer and Realmuto are the top 2 to watch that are not Yankees currently. So, I don't know. It'll be a very interesting offseason. I personally don't see them really scrapping the whole thing and tearing it down and starting all over. I think they're going to tweak and do some things. Maybe a move that we don't see coming right now could be in play, but you're probably going to see a similar team coming back. Some bullpen depth, maybe. I mean, Tommy Kahnle was missed. Also, he was missing as well. But you're going to see Chapman as the closer for those who want to complain about him. But Chapman's an elite closer. It is what it is. I know the season kind of ended with 2 home runs that he gave up these last 2 years, but he's an elite closer, guys. Listen, Yankee fans have spoiled for a long time with Mariano Rivera. This is what regular closers do. They give up home runs sometimes, but most of the time they get it done, man.
All right. That's going to wrap up a very horrible end to the season. But I think we had a good year, our first year doing the show. It
was a lot of fun, man.
But we're not done. We're not exactly done. Not totally done. We are done with the Yankee part, and we may pop in every now and then for maybe a free agent frenzy or a draft, or well, draft was already done, or something along those lines. But what we will be doing from now on, to lean towards the Star Wars part of our name and part of our show, we will be back either the 30th, November 1st, one of those days. We will review The Mandalorian Season 2, episode by episode, which will be fun as hell, because I can't wait just to even watch all the Easter eggs and all the stuff that, because I started rewatching Season 1 today, just trying to count all the Easter eggs that I can find. I think I find more than some other people might, just because there's stupid things that only an idiot like me would know.
It's awesome.
So that's what I'm looking forward to the most, because in the first episode, I counted like 4 or 5 in the first 10 minutes that not everybody might get, just because, like I said, I'm an insane person. So yeah, we will be back with the Star Wars portion of our show. We will watch each Mandalorian episode. We will come back and review them one by one. We may pop up with a Yankee special every now and then. Hopefully, no other legends die. We'll do a show about that. Yeah, so come back and watch us when we do the Mandalorian run by run. Then we might pop up every now and then to do a top 10, top whatever, another Star Wars show. Who knows? You know, it's a new day. It's a new day. It's a brand new day for us in our new popculturepros.com website. And yeah, so Ed, how are you then? How'd you enjoy the first year on the air?
Yeah, listen,
first season.
First season, I know, shorter than probably the future seasons are going to be. Yeah, thank you to everybody who was watching each and every week, or if you caught an episode here and there, whenever you do, live or whenever. Thank you for watching. It was a blast, honestly. I had a good time. Tim was nudging me to do a Yankee show for a bit, and you know, I guess things lined up and perfectly got it. Things lined up and got on here. So happy we did. I look forward to it every week, man, and it's been a lot of fun. So thank you for everyone who watched. Thank you to, Steve Faraci and, for letting us do our thing on here as well. And now we got the new website, to brand new, exciting things to look forward to on popculturepros.com. Yeah. So thanks, man. Thanks to everybody. And we look forward to bringing you some more awesome content as we're going to travel over to the Star Wars portion, which, there you go.
I didn't say nothing.
Yeah, no, we're going to lead into the Star Wars portion now with some Mandalorian reviews for you guys every week. And we'll drop in some Yankee stuff when we got it. But that's it.
Absolutely.
Good, man.
Cool. And yeah, like I said, popculturepros.com is the new site. Make sure you look for all the shows, all the new content coming. Yeah, we'll see you guys in a couple of weeks, man, for the Mandalorian episode 1. October 30th. I might even take off a day that way. Take off work that day. That's how excited I am about that show. So, everyone, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We are on any way you listen to a podcast. We are there. Anchor, Spotify, iHeartRadio. We're on all that stuff. Yeah. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. See you guys later.
Peace.
Try to take